Hi, this is the final part in the Curvy 3D gigantic character modelling series. We've gone from a base mesh up to a sculpted giant, and now we're going to take it through the last steps to get our rendered image. So previously we'd sculpted some hair pieces on the top of the head and for the whiskers, the sideburns. Now we're in Blender, we're going to replace these sculpted parts with the particle hair, where we'll have lots of individual strands to make a more realistic hairstyle. To do this, we need to select parts of a mesh to grow hair from. So I'm going to select the head. I'm going to make a couple of duplicates of the head. One for the scalp and one for the sideburns. So if I select the head, I can duplicate, or copy and paste. That's just being pasted outside of our collection. And I'm just going to rename these. There are lots of ways. You don't have to make a new object. You could just paint on a vertex map and say where you wanted the hair created. I find for convenience, I separate them out into different models. And now I'm drawing in the side view. I'm selecting out the hair. But I forgot to put it in X-ray mode. There's two little squares at the top right, mean that you select through an object, so it'll select front and back of the model. So that's selected front and back. I don't want the ears, so I'll control drag to cut those ears off. Just drag out some more sections. And then when I'm happy with that, I will select, invert, delete the vertices, and now that's just our scalped object. I can do a similar process for the sideburns. Again, rotating the view so I'm exactly to the side of it, which means that when we select one side, it'll select the right spot on the other side of the jaw. Now I'll just draw out the shape we want the sideburns in. That's looking good. Again, select, invert and delete. We've actually selected a bit too much, so we're just going to cut that bit out. Delete the vertices. So that's set the areas that we want hair to be produced from. Now we can show our head again. So let's start creating some hair. Hair is created from the particles system, from the particles menu down the little, well, you can see the menu on the right hand side. You have to select hair and create a new particle system with a little plus, and that shoots out lots of long hair in all directions from your mesh. I'm just cutting down the length here. I know I want this to be fairly spiky, clumpy hair, so I'm going to reduce the source number. Reduce the number down to quite a low count. We'll be adding more detail later in child hairs. Then we want to shape those hairs a bit, so I'm using particle edit and just wafting those hairs in the direction I want them to be. yes, they're sort of going sideways, backwards, trying to get a slightly rough look for them. You can change the strength, so I'm pulling them out straight there with a high strength, and then reducing the strength to add more subtle curves and bends to the hair. Now I'm adding children, which adds more hairs in similar places. I'm using interpolated children. I'm going to set the display amount to the same as the render amount, so I can see exactly what's going to happen when I render out. And I want to make it sort of pointed, so I increase the clumping, which tightens the tips of the hair into little groups. So we get a nice jagged, pointed look. Increasing the roughness a little, just to make it look a bit less tidy. And that's pretty good for the sideburns. Now for the main hair, I just want it sweeping back. So again, I'm adding a particle system. I need to set it to hair. I have quite a few hairs this time. Set the length. I'm adding the children, again making it a bit clumpy, a bit spiky. Now I have to comb the hair with particle edit. If you zoom out, it makes your brush size effectively bigger as well. So we tame this unruly hair into a slick back style. Let's comb it out here. When you switch back in the object mode, you can see the detail. Now we can apply a hair shader to it. So I'm adding a new shader and changing the surface to principled hair. And this is going to be quite light hair. Let's check it out in the cycles render. And when it finishes rendering, I can see it working. I want to use the same material on the sideburns, so I'm just selecting that and choosing the material. And hopefully it doesn't look too different to my original sculpt. I've got the same sort of shape as I was intending before, but it adds some more fine detail to the final image to use particle hair in Blender. So here's the whole scene put together. So you've got two smaller characters fighting the gigantic demon, and we've got layers of trees before and behind. So when we render them out with the transparent background, with a transparent film, we can stack them easily in an image editor. I actually rendered this with a Z buffer as well, so I could add some mist. And for the final render, I used denoising, so you can get away with less samples and high quality. And here's the final image at the end of the series. Thank you for watching. You can find more Curvy 3D videos on my channel. Bye.